There are so many YouTubers being cancelled that I'm beginning to realise that nobody is being cancelled and that drama channels and tea channels are partly to blame. From the beginnings of the drama community origins to what we now know as the tea era, we have seen many people come and go, but they seem to be coming back. In today's video, I kind of wanted to take a little bit of a different approach and have a look at what has happened over the years and why these people who are being cancelled by their prospective communities aren't necessarily going away. Not in the way that people want them to, but they are in fact growing stronger and developing thicker skins. And I also wanted to talk about how we are now breeding this brand new generation of uncancelable influencers. And honestly, I believe that tea consumption is to blame. So let's take a trip down memory lane as I detail to you guys in this video essay why influencers are getting away with it. Now, I've been in the drama community for a pretty long time now. I joined the community at its beginnings and then started creating content about a year or so into that. My first video was actually about all of the drama content creators that I loved at the time. Now, I consider these people the OGs of drama. We are talking Karina Kaboom, Here for the Tea, John Cookian, and Rich Lux, and a special mention to Sanders Kennedy, who basically started the genre of beauty drama. These channels coined themselves as drama channels, talking about all of the drama within the beauty community, which at that time was extremely bustling business. Those 5 content creators were the start of the community as we know it today. These kind of channels started in 2016 and really boomed and blossomed in 2017. And basically all it was a person sitting in front of a camera or a microphone talking about beauty, product launches, and some of the behind the scenes indiscretions that was taking place. This is where I believe that cancellation really took place. The members of this community, the beauty drama community, and when I speak about beauty drama, I'm specifically talking about the drama channels who were talking about beauty influencers. These drama channels, just with one video, had the ability to change people's perspectives of an influencer or a situation and their intent or integrity. A person who brought this to the forefront was definitely Here for the Tea. Prior to her, content on affiliate links and discount codes and influencers' abilities to make money selling directly to you, that changed the entire way that people viewed their favourite influencers. With her feet in the law surrounding advertisements and product placements, she became the sleuth for letting everybody know about undisclosed advertisements here on YouTube and the legalities surrounding it. People began to realise and clock onto the fact that influencers were creating whole makeup looks based upon what affiliate links would make them the most money and promoting products based on the revenue return they would get, not necessarily based on genuine enjoyment of the product. The climate itself began to change. Influencers weren't able to get away with certain things, and influencers were beginning to get called out by the very people who helped them build their platform, and thus started the trend of cancel culture. But what is cancel culture? Cancel culture, and what does being cancelled really mean? Well, being cancelled is when a well-liked public figure is revealed to have acted unconsciously enough to create a breach of trust and a sense of betrayal. Fans fade away, the enemies are emboldened, and corporate partnerships dissolve. The damage is usually done to their reputation and their financial opportunities. Now, whilst cancelling has been colloquially used for the better part of a decade, the phrase cancel culture is much more recent. An insider article basically showed that Google Trends data for the term cancel culture didn't really seem to kick off until the second half of 2018/2019. And the most interest in the phrase cancel culture actually came in July of 2020. But despite the seemingly positive intentions of many cancellations, which was to essentially demand greater accountability from public figures, as Merriam-Webster states, people tend to call out cancel culture itself as a negative preemptive movement, suggesting that all of the consequences of cancellation are too harsh in minor instances, or that they represent a rushed judgment in complicated situations. Examples of this for me would be the cancellation of Laura Lee and Manny MUA in the second Dramageddon, coined by Here for the Tea, which signifies a big, dramatic, publicised crescendo moment within the beauty community that has a huge, sometimes lasting impact on the community as a whole, and usually ends in a cancellation. Anyway, both Laura Lee and Manny MUA were cancelled in 2018 for simply being shady towards Jeffree Star. Many people viewed what they did as distasteful, and then ensued the videos that they made apologising after being dragged by the community that literally built them up. The split perspective came because Manny MUA and Laura Lee both shared an audience with Jeffree Star because they'd collaborated with each other and cross-pollinated audience, and that basically meant that the audience themselves, the members of the audience, you guys over there, had to make a choice on whose side you would be on. On the flip side, the opposite example of this would actually be James Charles with Dramageddon 2, where his sexual assault allegations, which were alleged towards self-identifying straight men at the time, because obviously we know that's changed, were overlooked at a time when really the community probably should have taken it a little bit more seriously, or at least began to have noticed the pattern of behaviour. And I genuinely believe that the way that it was publicised by drama channels and commentary channels alike kind of devalued the severity of what was being alleged. And of course, at the time, drama channels reported the story and stoked the flames by bringing attention to it. But that begs the question to me, do drama channels desensitise the viewers to cancellation? I feel as if there is a performative aspect to cancelling, one in which it can be argued amplifies what it seeks to boycott. To cancel someone publicly, it often requires broadcasting what actually took place, which then makes the reason for an influencer's cancelling the subject of attention. Which is weird to me because the objective behind cancelling somebody is to deny them of attention, right? So that the influencer loses popularity. But are we just giving influencers infamy instead? An example of this would be Dramageddon 3.0 with Shane Dawson. He became the centre of drama, and even saying it like that trivialises it, when old videos of him being inappropriate with minors came to light. Now, although he left the internet and the cancellation aka boycott was a success, even now drama and tea channels are creating videos awaiting his return, wondering how he's going to return, or speculating if an Instagram of his cat means that he is hinting at a comeback. And there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that when Shane Dawson does return, that video will be one of the highest viewed videos here on YouTube, as it is highly anticipated, and that is infamy. So can somebody stop themselves from being cancelled? Or can somebody who is cancelled uncancel themselves? And in short, the answer is yeah. There are two ways to approach the effects of being cancelled. That is either to make a preemptive move or to minimise the effects. And there's three ways to do it. And those are attack and be the victor, apologise / leave before it all catches up with you, or don't acknowledge the cancellation and continue as normal. Now, with number one, which is attacking and becoming the victor, that is an approach that I honestly haven't seen work often. And the only example that I can see of this personally is James Charles with his comeback video of No More Lies. The video came loaded with receipts and basically called everybody's bluff. And it backed those who were up against him to either make a video attacking him back or letting the situation go. And after Jeffree Star made his never doing it again video, the last one standing was James Charles, and that was because he had the last word. There was number two, which is apologise / leave before everything catches up with you. This is a preemptive move that I have seen used by none other than Jenna Marbles. Around the time of Shane Dawson's cancellation, she decided to spill everything that she had ever done and regretted. She basically apologised and then left the internet indefinitely. Now, contrary to popular belief, because everybody likes to view Jenna Marbles as this like amazing goddess of a person, and whilst I have nothing positive or negative to say about Jenna Marbles, she just is that girl off YouTube to me. I truly believe that in this situation, Jenna Marbles saw the climate around her changing, and the YouTubers that she once shared a space with, making jokes with over a decade ago, are now being cancelled one by one. And she knew that it was only a matter of time before it all caught up with her, and she preemptively made a move, which ultimately, paradoxically, like saved her career, because her lack of prompt of doing the right thing ultimately made her leave as the angel of YouTube, which I don't necessarily believe. I believe it was a situation where she was feeling the heat and got out of the kitchen, but I digress. And then there's number 3, which is don't acknowledge the cancellation at all and go on as normal. And the 2 people that I think of that come to mind when I think of this method is Nikita Dragon and Tana Moja. So much so that Tana Moja has named her new podcast Cancelled. The maneuver is just to simply say nothing until the scandal goes away, because it will eventually blow over, because the internet has a short memory. And it won't be brought up again until your next scandal, which you also won't address, and so on and so forth. And this right here is where I see the cultural climate changing, because now the younger generation of influencers are choosing to ignore their cancellations, with it having almost zero effect or impact on their career or on their livelihoods. So let's talk. So cancel culture has been incredibly effective at combating wrongdoing, especially when it comes to sexism and racism. It demands a social change and addresses many inequalities. For instance, in 2016, members of the film community ended up boycotting the Oscars because of the lack of diversity among the nominees. And then by people cancelling the Oscars, it actually demanded a social change. Because in 2019, the Oscars then set a record for the most wins by Black nominees ever. So basically, a community that unites against somebody or a company that has done something unforgivable can be empowering. And it can also make people think twice before behaving inappropriately or posting some potentially offensive views. There are also negative effects resulting from cancel culture. YouTubers, Instagram influencers, TikTok stars, and streamers alike are all now choosing not to give energy to cancellations, and almost like using it as a vehicle to gain more notoriety, views, public interest, and make more money, and in turn not learn a single thing. And I truly believe the reasoning behind that is because cancellation has an effect on people's mental states. Unfortunately, cancelling can also turn into bullying, and like bullying, if you've been cancelled, it can make you feel ostracized, lonely, socially isolated, and it can also feel like everybody is giving up on you before you've even had a chance to apologize. Instead of creating a dialogue to help you understand how your actions hurt them, cancellers can shut off all communication with you, essentially robbing you of the opportunity to learn and grow from your mistakes or insensitivities. So I can kind of empathize with why these influencers are now choosing not to give their energy to cancel culture, because why try and change the perspective of somebody who's already had their mind made up about you? Why not just shut their opinion out regardless of how valid the criticism is and just move on? I think that as an audience and as spectators to the fuckery of social media, we need to realize that cancelling somebody doesn't actually make them go away, and that public shunning is unlikely to change their beliefs or lead to lasting change. All it does is make them dig their heels in even further, and it's often to defend their egos and their reputation. Like, imagine if we as individuals got cancelled every single time we did something wrong by our parents. Imagine if we got cancelled by our teacher for acting out in school and they boycotted us and refused to teach us. There's never any opportunities to learn and grow. So why do we do it? Accountability? Justice? Nah. As common commentators, we only ever broadcast the negative parts of a public figure's persona. And I say persona rather than person because we honestly never truly know a person that we've never met. It's a parasocial relationship with an influencer's persona. But because as commentators, we only ever broadcast the negative of a persona, the next time that person does anything of interest to us, it's another negative thing. So the only time that our viewers will hear anything about this public figure will be the next time they fuck up. And avid consumers of tea will base their opinion of this person based on all of the bad things or the negative things it is that they've ever said or done. A parasocial encounter, as defined by Wikipedia, refers to the kind of psychological relationship experienced by an audience in their mediated encounters. That encounter gets broken down further when the barrier between the public figure and the viewer is mediated again by the commentator. The perspective that the commentator gives is placed above the viewer's own perception. So the only relationship that many people develop with public figures is a strained one that has been filtered and distorted through the commentator's eyes. And whilst it is up to each individual to do their research, how many people are actually really doing that? The constant negative perception of the commentator, as well as the perspective of the viewer, is one of the reasons why public figures have simply just stopped caring about cancellation. But also, it's because the audience member then becomes the judge, the jury, and the executioner. So another situation that these influencers find themselves in is that they are doomed if they do, and then they are doomed if they don't. Because although the viewer's intention is to hold somebody accountable, even when a public figure gives an apology, there's going to be people who'll turn around and say, "That's not good enough." The effort itself isn't even respected, so they don't even try. Because regardless, they are going to be dragged cross-platform, so there's literally no motivation for them to do the right thing. Where we post moral outrage without necessary due diligence, it is important to read between the lines before we effectively cancel someone. That's by Alexandra Diamore. Now, if you've ever watched me for any amount of time here on YouTube, you will know that one of my favorite phrases is impact overrides intent always. But I'm beginning to realize that intent is important. And I learned this recently, honestly, through being a mother. For instance, my daughter will be sometimes running around crazy or manic and shit and bump into her cousin and hurt her. Now, I'll still tell her that she needs to calm her ass down, but as her mother, I handle it with compassion in acknowledgement that her intention was not to hurt her cousin. However, the punishment would be different and more severe if I saw my daughter walk over to her cousin and punch her. That is intent. Many would say that it is inherently privileged to redirect the focus of a conversation to the perpetrator's presumably harmless intentions, rather than focusing on the experience of the person who has been harmed. So now, we have impact, intent, and then integrity. And we have to consider integrity because integrity will decide whether impact or intent is the main focus. But the problem is, here on the internet, public figures' integrity isn't decided based on what they tell us. It's based on our perceptions. And as an audience, if we perceive them to be individuals lacking of integrity, the intent will then be seen as malicious, therefore the impact is the priority, regardless of the severity of a situation. But the young people don't care. Who does cancel culture really matter to? Well, it's people like us. It's millennials. The only people still being bound by the concept of cancel culture here on YouTube are the millennials who popularized it. From Gabbie Hanna to Shane Dawson to Jeffree Star to Trisha Paytas. All of them have either been cancelled or have used cancel culture to attack other people because they are the ones who are most affected by it. But all of these people are still around. They're still around, they're still out here, they're still making content. I mean, even today, Shane Dawson posted an Instagram basically stating that he's ready to return. James Charles returned after after a 3.5-month hiatus and went on to make a highly anticipated video where he put on makeup as if nothing had even happened. So influencers aren't being cancelled, they're just gaining infamy and becoming stronger, and their fan base is growing stronger around them to protect them from the vicious attacks of the hate mob. When someone is cancelled, they don't lose their right to ever work again, just that the field is narrowed for an indeterminate amount of time, and these influencers are just getting younger and younger and younger. So we are becoming a little bit more compassionate as an audience for the young people who are having to make their mistakes in real time in front of millions and millions of spectators. But I also feel as if these young people know that they are going to be making mistakes and know that at some point they are going to be cancelled, so they literally like mentally prepared for that eventuality. So if these people know that a cancellation is on the horizon, does moral accountability even matter? Nakamura, a professor in the Department of American Cultures at the University of Michigan, once said, "People talk about the attention economy. When you deprive someone of attention, you're depriving them of a livelihood." But because cancel culture is pretty much an oxymoron for bringing attention to what it seeks to boycott, people then collect notoriety and infamy purely just by being involved in a drama or scandal. So people aren't being deprived of a livelihood. The drama brings them more money than ever before, even if they lose that money momentarily. I mean, think about it. How many people who don't watch drama channels or are involved in the beauty community know who James Charles is now? I rest my case. For instance, Gabbie Hanna is now bringing in more views than ever before in the currency exchange she made of her infamy for views. Lol. And I am fully self-aware that I am part of this problem. I have made a lot of Gabbie Hanna videos. A lot of Gabbie Hanna videos. And by giving a platform to this kind of behaviour, I myself am adding to the lack of effective cancel culture. But honestly, I'm just as desensitized as you. But does a drama / commentary channel like me want to really cancel somebody? Sometimes, if it's necessary. So because drama and tea channels have the ability to cancel anyone and anything, so much so that it's had huge effects on the ecosystem of YouTube, to the point that YouTube themselves have had to change rules. I remember in Dramageddon 2 or 3, I can't friggin' remember at this point, there was literally channels dedicated to watching the real-time subscribers drop of all the influencers involved. And because of that, we now have no access to real-time subscriber counts here on YouTube. So the effects on the ecosystem have been obvious, but cancel culture has had a positive effect in some instances, in stories that needed to be heard and to victims that needed voices. Coming out as a victim against somebody with a huge platform and a strong fan base who can basically cancel you in return is quite a daunting thing that many victims of social media influencers face. And coming out as a victim to a commentary channel, a drama channel, a tea channel kind of provides them a little bit of a security blanket to be protected at the very least by the commentator's fan base. So as much as I hate to say it, cancel culture isn't all that bad. And sometimes, especially with more serious topics, it's necessary. The words cancel culture are typically used to describe a hypersensitivity where everybody is scared to say anything just in case the mob attacks them. Honestly, that's just a mischaracterization. What people actually call cancel culture is the prospect of consequences where none used to exist. The chance of becoming a social pariah was always a part of the social media contract. It just used to be harder to enforce. I mean, think back to the drama origins. Prior to one of the OGs like Here for the Tea, a lot of people weren't aware they were being exploited by the people they help provide a platform to. Back in the day, it used to be that publicists could squash even the worst and most damaging rumors. It used to mean that social media didn't exist to help amplify the voices of the powerless or to prove the popularity of a certain opinion. It used to be that women were less likely to be believed. Hashtag me too. It used to be that casual racism was far more acceptable. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. And all of the things that are now being deemed as inexcusable are being consciously decided by the community in real time. Or the general consensus views of a community is still in the process of being paved. I don't know, it's almost as if humanity exists in a constant state of evolution. But to me, if cancel culture has to fail over and over and over to get one moment where justice prevails, well, honestly, as slow as it is, that's what progress feels like. Anyway, that is about it from me. Thank you guys so much for listening to my video essay. If you like these kind of videos from me, definitely let me know and sound off in the comment section down below. I enjoy making this kind of stuff. Don't forget, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like it, if you don't, I don't give a shit anyway. Don't forget to subscribe and to hit that notification with the bell so that you guys get a notification every single time that Paige posts new content. Also, do not forget that I still have a sale going on at Dramatic Boutique, which is ongoing until the 4th of September. You guys can get 2 for 1 on all of our eyelashes on our website, so definitely go and check that out. With that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing day or evening, whatever it is that you're doing, and until next time, you beautiful, amazing, badass bitches. It's been Paige, and let me just tell you that I recorded this twice now. I've recorded this 2 times because I recorded this and then didn't plug my mic in. Why? Because I'm a fucking dickhead.
So these bitches is petty.